on. Is it on? Shut your face. I think it's working. Oh, you hear me? Ta-da! Just let me just reset my entire Wi-Fi modem. I've done 3 paintings and I've had problems with most with Xfinity. So hopefully we don't have any more issues with connectivity throughout the shows today. Now let me tell you guys, you gotta help me get all those viewers back. Everyone that was watching before and that left, you gotta help me get them back and start tapping on that screen, sharing it to everybody that was there, everybody on your friends list. Let's get some people in here. And yeah, Xfinity, please, I'll call and yell at them myself. All right, I'm gonna end the TikTok stream and then I'll be back, guys. Hang on. This is honestly ridiculous. Just quite ridiculous, my friends and guys and gals and painting pals. Just quite ridiculous. Oh, man. It is what it is. All right, let's try this again. Let's go over here. We're going to go live. And over there. And one more. 1 second, guys. I know. Hey, from sunny Florida, let me know where you're watching from and what your favorite sandwich is while I try to get everything back up and running. And we'll see. Maybe we can get a show going tonight. Maybe. It's only minutes of nonsense and empty screens. So, can you guys all see me? Can we all rock and roll? Can we do a show now, please? Can we get it going? Can we rock it and roll it, like we say? So, we got our brush all cleaned off. We got our Wi-Fi all turned back on. We're not going to have a nervous breakdown, and it's going to be fine. It's all going to be fine, right? So, Wi-Fi is back. Woo! Not going to have a nervous breakdown. Everything's cool. Now, we're going to come in here. Let me show you what I've done. We have our 15-inch by 30-inch Pro Series canvas, the big, thick canvases, right? Then I came in with my black Liquitex gesso that looks just like this, which is an acrylic paint, so it dries very fast. And I made these little mountain shapes, just made the whole bottom black, right? Dries very fast. And then you have to come back in with your Bob Ross liquid clear, right? And that liquid clear we cover the entire dark section with. Then we take the liquid white, which is the opposite of the clear, does the same exact thing, cover the white section. So now the white section is wet with paint, right? If you touched it, it's got wet paint on there. And now we're gonna check the cameras one more time. Okay, geez, everything looks good to go. Let's rock and roll, guys. All right, here we go. We're gonna go into a little of our cad yellow because when I do a sunset, I gotta have this bright cad yellow spot. And you know what? A lot of times you can take like an old empty blue painter's tape roll, get it out here, and let's go around the outside edge with that yellow, just to leave the inside edge really white, right? We don't need it to be a perfect circle. All we need it to do is drop the color up there and try to keep the inside of it white, right? So we're gonna pull the excess color away from the edges. Pulling it, pulling it, pulling it. I think it as big as it wants to get, right? As far as we can take. Because with the sunset, you're gonna go so many colors over the tip top of everything else. Now watch this, as we start to slide this guy into the center, just like a clock, dragging little bits, we should be able to leave a very bright white spot right there. It's just totally untouched. There's no paint on it at all, right? Now, if we can keep that bright white spot, it's gonna look like a super bright sun off in the distance. Let's go to a little of our Indian yellow and a little of our yellow ochre, which is a much darker, deeper yellow. You see what I mean? A little bit of that yellow oak up here. Each time that we touch it onto our canvas, it's going to mix in with that liquid white. Remember, the white is still wet. So it's going to mix in, get all over the place with all those colors, right? Now, all depends on what you want your sky to look like. Maybe you want a little darker in here, add a little bit more of that yellow ochre color, right? Just kind of changes the flavor, like Bob used to say. Changes the flavor of it a little bit, right? Then, the more that we mix it and put them in, go back and forth with our other bigger brush, the more soft it's going to be. Take away all these brush strokes, right? Let's get a little of our red. Just a bright red on the same brush. Haven't washed it, haven't done anything. Maybe with our pressure, you can see we've dragged some of that red right underneath there. Real far. Right? We don't want to get it everywhere because the red is very, very powerful and it will overtake every part of your scene if you use too much. Right? So let's try not to use too much of that red. Otherwise it'll overtake all of our yellers and then nothing will look like we wanted it to look anymore. Now we're gonna go into the crimson, which is a little bit deeper and darker red, right? You see the difference in those little red action bits, but by the time we get down to it, everything is going to blend all in together, right? And the girls already know what we're talking about when we say blend. Guys, because they do it with their makeup all the time, right? Guys, we're kind of dumb, at least me, I'm kind of dumb. I might not know what blend is, so all you're gonna wanna do is just kind of mix it back and forth, right? Like mushing it. We're mixing up like a bag of cement. You got the water, you got the cement, we're mixing them together until it's just right. And then we stop, right? Don't want to overmix. Definitely don't want to overmix. Now, let's get, since we're out here and we've got a buffer of our crimson paint in between our yellow and what would be our blue or whatever, then we can decide, do you want to go with a blue sky? Or do you want to go with like a brown, right? Have you ever put brown out into your sky before? And you're like, Josh, don't. What are you doing? Why are you putting, don't. No one puts brown. Oh, what are you doing, Josh? Why would you put brown up into the sky? Oh, no. What's going to happen now, guys? Oh, it's just going to blend in with all of those pinks and all those other things to get you that dusky feel as you go out there. So don't worry. Try something new every once in a while. Take some brown, get out into your sunsetty sky, and just start overlapping all those colors onto themselves. Now remember, the darker that you bring it in, the more pressure, the more your sky color is going to try to come in and cover our little spot down here. And we all know that's not what we want to happen, right? We got to have that. Oh, this poor brush is just as hard as a rock. Oh, that is not what you want your brushes to look like when they get done. That's, you know what? If somebody buys this painting today, if you buy this painting during the live show, I'm going to give you this brush that I've already used. It's really hard. You could probably go build a house with it. But if you buy the painting during the live show today, this painting specifically, you'll get this Bob Ross brush that I've already pre-used and many times. And then the bristles got very hard. So, up to you guys. First person to buy the painting gets that brush. There's no jokes about it. We're going to come in here with a nice, clean, dry one and kind of stay around that white area. We don't want to go across it. Right? So we're kind of crisscrossing around, and now we can put a little bit more of our pressure into it and start to blend these colors together. Right? The more that you push on it, the more it's going to mush those colors, the more it's going to drag the darkness in towards the center, and then we get to decide what it looks like as you step back and you go, okay, I want it maybe to blend out this little spot right here. It's a little too dark, so let's get that out there, over here. And you can see we've got the white, then we've got the cad yellow, we've still got some Indian, some yellow ochre, the red, the pinks, the crimson, and the brown all together. And I don't want to overmix it so much that you can't tell, right? And it's just all one color. I like this, it's got that gradient feel to it. And you can always go back in and make it a little darker if you want, because remember, each time that we touch the canvas and blend with that paint, it's mixing with that white that we put underneath there to start, right? Our wet base coat. And that wet base coat helps all of our colors change and blend and move and oh, says Santa Claus. Ho, 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 that's beautiful. Man, I'm gonna get a little bit of my Bob Ross Midnight Black. Now, this is not a very black color, and you can see it doesn't stay very black when we put it on the canvas. It kind of goes like a purplish kind of color, right? A little soft kind of purpley bit, a little purpley black. It's Bob Ross's version of black, basically. Trying to get that little purpley black color, blend that down around. Now you can see exactly where I put it on, right? We haven't blended it with this 1/8 brush. It's almost not big enough to blend with. So a little bit more black, a little bit more brown, and watch this, a little bit more crimson right on the brush. Ooh, baby, drop that sucker out there. That's looking fabutastic, right? Now, we gotta go blend it out. We can't do that if we're using the brush that we're applying the paint with. We've gotta go back to that clean, dry brush, dab it on a paper towel, and then start crisscrossing back and forth, right? Not removing the brush. We're not going and like flinging anything, right? There's nothing to fling anyway. Even if I tried to fling it at you, there's nothing to fling. But just like that, the more that you do it, and the more that you mix it, and the more that you bring that color over your dark mountains, the further away they look, right? Same thing over here. Drag this guy down, you can brighten it up, you can literally put on enough paint to make them disappear completely if you wanted to. That's the best part about that black gesso. Tried so long to try to make that effect with just the wet on wet oil paints, and I couldn't figure it out. And guess what? I'm such a prideful, like, if I don't know it, I don't want to ask anybody. I've got like anxiety about asking for help. And so I finally figured out and asked somebody where to get this gesso, what it was, how to use it. It just makes the most amazing things that you've ever seen, my guys and gals and painting pals. Now, let's get in here. I'm going to get a little bit of my crimson color, maybe a little touch of my red on the brush, a little crimson, a little red. We're going to come back in here and just start dropping in a bit of that darker sort of undercolor to our water, right? Our black canvas right now has nothing on it. It's just a little bit of that, it's just our liquid clear, right? So what we have to do, what the heck is this? How do we get white over there? Who's not paying attention? How do we get white all the way over there? That's my question. Right, all we're doing is putting down this undercolor, and then we're gonna go back and throw in our gorgeous waves. Right, I'm gonna get a little of my Indian yellow on my brush, and let's say I wanna have a real far away crashing wave on this guy, so we have a lot of sand to play with, right? So right there, you've got your flat stripe, which is a little fatter on this side, right? So it's like a little triangle that goes into a skinny thing way out there. And then you've got your stripe with a bit of black in between, and all it is about a 1-inch thing of your Indian yellow. That's all you need. Don't put too much up there, because if you put too much, it's going to be too bright, right? Bang, just like that. Now remember, got to leave yourself room for all of your stuff. That eye is connected to the wave, which is going to come down and crash by about right here. So you need to leave all this space available, and then we'll have a bit of sand down around the bottom, right? And if you don't set it up correctly and get it out there in the right way, it's not going to work, right? Now let's get a little bit more of that pinkish, crimson-y color right up underneath, but leaving a dark space in there, because we know the paint's going to want to grow when we start hitting it with our other brush and with our white especially. All right, get it out there. That's all water, so this is all sand, right? In which case we can get our brown, and you don't want to have a whole 10 ton of it on the brush because it'll be too bright. Remember, the point of the undercolors is to make everything dark. If you put on too much undercolor, it will not be dark anymore. You'll be able to tell that it's actually brown, right? If you're doing it correctly, you shouldn't really be able to see. And all my super bright lights make it so you can see, right? But yours in real life should be dark enough to where it's kind of not visible. You don't want to see a ton amount of a paint, right? If you've got too much paint onto the canvas, it's just going to be harder and harder and harder to work with. So get our brown, get it out here into the darkness, right? Just a little bit, and then we can go back and light it up. It's going to be fantastic. It's just going to be awesome. All depends on where you put your undercolors at. Now, let's wash our brushes off. Get these guys all nice and cleaned up, and we'll get ready to go. You guys got to tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwiches? Hey, streaming from you from Eugene. Coming at you live. We're always live, bro. I even have like an automated response on my Facebook that goes, "What's your live schedule?" It says, "Literally every day, LOL." Because it almost feels that way sometimes. So my normal schedule, though, if you are wondering, is Thursday to Monday. So today would normally be my Friday, but I'm going to do another show or 2 shows on Tuesday night, and then take Wednesday off, and then we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming after that, right? Now, I got one more brush to clean up, and then you guys are going to get 2 extra shows this week. 2 extra shows on Tuesday if you follow me over on TikTok, because that's where we're going to be doing those Tuesday shows. Over on the TikTok. And then eventually they get downloaded and put over on onto YouTube. So if you miss it over on TikTok, you'll be able to see it eventually over on YouTube. Now, let's get out here. All we need from this point forward is a bit of white paint. We're going to light up the whole rest of the scene. So let's get a little white on our little fan brush. Just a little old guy out here, a little bit of white onto it. Don't need to have too much. Right? I even put too much way up here. It doesn't really matter. We're only going to be using the tips of the bristles. Okay? Now, let's say we don't have to light up everything. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. Let's say way out there was a little bit kind of fatter and fatter and fatter as it came over here. Not wanting to have too much paint making it a little longer and a little flatter all the way out. Like how that black gesso creates our little horizon line for us. And all I did was use some painter's tape and put a straight line of tape out there, black gessoed it, pulled the tape off, and then gessoed my mountains in after that. Pretty simple little thing to do. All right, put this guy over there. All you need, a little bit of backwater. Now my favorite part, putting in our little mustaches, right? Remember how we used to paint waves when we were kids? Or when you used to draw waves when you were a kid, it'd be like this, like whoop, 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 like little peaks and valleys throughout the whole thing. Well, we're gonna basically do the same thing right in here. Put a little peak, a little valley, start dragging it off from the side. Nothing crazy, we're not looking for so much detail over here that it's going to take our eye away from the front, right? And then we're gonna come in with our next wave, bang, right down straight through that guy. And now we're gonna need a bigger brush. Once we get this guy in with a little bit of our white and start flinging back our little bits, trying not to connect it to our last little bit of color, right? We leave a little space over there called the what, guys? What do we call that little space that we leave right in between those two bits of wave? Does anybody know? As the water starts rolling in and you get that little shadow, does anybody know what we like to call that little spot? Grilled cheese, I like it. I like it. Negative. The dark separator, says Lynn Musall. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm probably not, and I apologize for butchering it. But Lynn was the first person that I saw say it correctly. Dark separators, right? We talk about them a lot, especially when we're doing ocean scenes. Now, we'll come in with our white, and you can see I didn't put any clouds in the sky, and I kind of like it. We can always go back in and do it afterwards, but I kind of like a cloudless sky with just a real bright sun out there. Okay, now following along the edge of our wave up here, right, we would come up and we would go over our eye. So our eye is going to have to be all lit up and crazy like. A little bit of white paint into that bit of our Indian yellow, which is why it turned that color. Now, our goal here is to start softening it, but not allow it to reach up and touch that last little piece. Ooh. Ooh, don't get up there so close that those two bits of wave and color touch. That's no bueno. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to tell what's part of your front wave, what's part of the top of the wave. Right? As we come back and soften these guys down, you get rid of those brush strokes, everything starts looking nice. Look at that, guys. Fabulous, right? Now, let's say this guy actually came up a little higher. Right up over the tip top. And then once we get up there, we're going to grab wipe off our brush, get a little bit of our white paint on there, and then once we touch it, we're going to throw it off to the corner of the canvas. Not down here to the bottom, sort of off to the edge. Depending on the size of your canvas, your edge might be a little bit different. Right? We get up there, it's got that bright white, yellow. Oh, just gorgeous. Just fabulous, right? Starts rolling over. We'll wipe off our brush, come back to the white paint. Now let's turn and save just a little piece of that back water back there, which will help our wave look more 3D. It'll push that back piece of water way back into the distance in our horizon, right? Now, as we get this paint, we've created a little point that we like to talk about all the time. And if you're a brand new fan, you might not know the proper term for it, the proper Paint with Josh terminology for it, right? But it's going to be excellent, right? Now, we call it a what, guys? If you don't know, check the comments, because it's like the center of a clock. And as it rolls out from the center of a clock, and we're pivoting, right? Like a little point. All right, I gave it away. It's called a pivot point. And that way, you can sort of, from the same area, go out, go back, go out, to the same spot, out, lower, 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 creating our wave as it's rolling over and splashing down upon the ground, right? Now, obviously, it would have to come down and hit somewhere. And so maybe we start rolling and rolling. Maybe it gets a little fatter over here, and it's all rolling up and away and back towards the wave, and you're like, Josh, what are you talking about? This doesn't look like a wave. You are a madman. Just a madman. Right? No, I promise. Just give me a second, okay? Now, when we come up here, this is going to be about the only point that we're going to touch on our wave and start to drag it downwards, right? Starting to create that wall of water that's rolling up. And as we come in, we start making these big circles, and then by the time that we get in there, our angle is going to become tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, creating that little barrel inside the wave, right? Oh, yes. Oh, just whipping it up in there real tight, and then the further and further and further you get out, the flatter and flatter and flatter they become. See what I mean? And that way, it lines up with our little wave up here. Got this guy going off the other direction. A little ridge in our water. Shoot, you can take him down here if you wanted to. All depends on how you spin and how you pull your bit of water, right? All up to us. And as we fill it in, dropping it on with the fan brush, it looks very rough, right? And when we go back with our 1-inch brush and soften everything down, that's when you get all the velvety, watery look to it. At least the way that I like to paint them, right? Now, we're going to have some mountains and stuff way over here that we're going to need to sort of bring back to life. So I'm going to get a little of my brown, a little of my Bob Ross black, just out there. And let's say these guys, especially before we start hitting them with our spray of our water, we'll probably actually lose that guy on his own, but pulling off over here, a little bit like that, just filling in our spot to our little mountains that were back there initially. Just a little bit of brown and black is all you need. And then we're going to go brush it out, right? Over there, over here. The whole thing. You don't want to have too much paint on there, which is why we're using a very small little fan brush and a very small little space. Because all we're doing is trying to create some very far away little mountainous things that are happening out there, right? So we can start to take them and pull them down and do all sorts. Just over here, over there, they come sliding down, they come off the back. They don't all have to look the same. You want them to look a little bit different, and you don't want them to be too humongous because they're going to try to overtake our scene. Right? Now, once we come down and hit with all those splashes that are going to overtake this whole area, we can decide what we want to do and how we want it to look. As these guys start rolling down, maybe from bigger hills, and put a little bit more pressure. We start rolling down towards the sandy beach. It's going to be fantastic. And then we're going to fill in this whole little section right in here with all of our crashing watery spray, which is going to be amazing. Just going to be amazing. Man, looking cool already, right? The more that we put in front of that guy, the more it's going to push it off into the distance. This guy over here, we could have, and we could still add a little color to him just to bring him out, but I don't want to put on so much, otherwise it's going to bring him too close. And we want him to sort of look far away. That's the goal in this guy, right? Just a little further away, put a little bit of brown on there, and you give him a little bit of life. Just a little bit of life back there. All right, over here. Put a little bit more black into the corner. Get those shadows off to the backside, right? But not again using so much paint. Just a little bit at a time. And those far away little shadowy deals happening back there. Gonna be amazing, you guys. So, let's come up over here. Now we're gonna fill in all that space, just like I told you, with our plaque mix and our crashing watery spray. But in order to do that, we need to make up a whole bunch of that plaque mix. So, you guys got to let me know what those 3 colors are to mix in order to create Paint with Josh plaque like we like to talk about all the time. Tell me we don't talk about it all the time. Lynn knows, Claire knows, Dana knows, Jennifer knows, Ari knows, of course. Let's see, Jennifer again, Wanda, Wendy. The CBB says Cosmic. Got me all mixed up right there. Normally it's the BBC, blue, black, and crimson, but crimson, black, and blue, or crimson, blue, and black also works to make this real deep, dark color that's going to stand out among all the other deepest and darkest of all the colors, right? Now as we rock down over the side of our wave, we need to come in with that plaque mix. It's a very purplish black, not plaque, not that. That's not what we're talking about. Nevertheless, let's come up here and start tapping in a little bit at a time with those little things. Just a little bit, as right under our wave, right? We're catching up like you were gonna grab up into your honey's bum. Like just little catch that thing, cup it. Cup the bum as you come up underneath. And now you start rolling over and making this shadowy mix cover everything that we don't wanna see. And once we get to the bottom, this is the best part. You just go ham crazy, just paboosh! Look at all that, right? All that darkness covering up all the places that we didn't have to paint anything. Still very far away mountains, right? But now they're hidden by all of our splashing water that's been crashing and rolling into our beach back here. Now, here comes another fun part. We've got to light up that beachy water with some liquid white, right? And the liquid white is very watery in its own. It's just on its own. It's just a drippy, runny mess, right? So you don't need a whole lot, and you don't want to dip your wet paint jar into brush into your jar. That's for sure. So get a little bit of it out. Keep it on your palette, or keep it in a little plastic thing next to your paper plate or somewhere. And that way you don't have to go contaminate your jar by dunking in your brush. Now let's come up here, grab that liquid white into our titanium white, and we're going to come up and start splashing right on top of these guys, right? Same thing, little teeny tiny taps. And as soon as you touch, you've got to start moving because you don't want to overdo it, right? And also, as soon as we contact it, it starts picking up white paint and depositing white paint and picking up all that black mix, right? And that is going to change the look of the shadows of our water and all that stuff as it's flowing and falling down. Right now, on both sides, we're sort of just mushed up with all of our black. Right, so let's come down here and just start popping in little things. Doesn't matter where they are. And I'm only doing it really this way to stay out of your guys' way. You don't have to do it upside down or right ways up or whatever. You do it however you want it to do it in order to make it look the correct way for you, right? Everyone's correct way is a little bit different, and I always say, whatever's easiest for you, that's the right way to do it. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be hard. We're not trying to get out here and struggle and not be able to complete the paintings. The paintings are easy. They're supposed to be done in a single sitting. You can do it in a couple hours, maybe 3 to 6 hours. You can get it done, I'm telling you. That's how long my very first one took, for sure, right? Now, even as cool as this looks, this is how I used to leave the seascapes. Like, all that water hitting, crashing against the land, right? Looks really cool. But it's kind of funky. Again, I used to leave it like that. No worries if you still leave yours like that. But what we're going to do is grab a 1-inch brush, and we're going to do this 2 times, okay? These parts are going to be our finished zone. Once you like how those guys up there look, you do not touch them again. You don't come at them with a different brush. You don't do anything, right? All we want it to do is look a little funky, like they're all falling down, rotating over. Boom! All these bits of water about to come down and hit, right? So we're going to take our 1-inch brush and up into our cloud, quote unquote, we're going to just grab it with just the corner. I'm just going to show you. Right now, there's nothing on the brush besides the corner paint that we touched, and that's just a few little bristles. You can see how wet this liquid white paint is. It is so wet and watery. They should have called it liquid water. I'm sure that's why they called it liquid, because it's so runny, right? Bang, right to the front. And you can see we didn't hit every place. And we didn't even use a whole lot of the bristles of the brush, right? Not every brush bristle got contacted by that, and with a very light amount of pressure. That's the other key, right? Now, we've already ran out of our little pile of liquid white, so we've got to come back and get another little pile going. Again, I like to use my knife, grab it in there, and then dab it onto our palette right where we need it to be. Should be just perfect for what we have left. Throw the lid back on and screw it on. Don't just put your lid on, because then you go to lift the lid and it'll come off and your jar will tip over. And that's no fun, broskies. No fun indeed. Same thing here, we kind of skipped over this bit of softening all these little bits of brush down. Oh, there. That's my favorite, like, creepy thing Bob would say. There. Oh, yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Look at that softness to it. All right, we get to decide how far it pushes up, but I like to leave a little dark separator like we've been talking about. Right in here as well as underneath. Now, I said, we're all over the place. It's fine. We'll come back and get into our liquid white again with our fan brush. Come over here into the titanium white. And we didn't have a whole lot on our palette to start, and we didn't use a whole lot either. Now, let's come up here again, right where we came to touch with our brush, and start adding one more little bit. Another little bit of splashy nonsense. Just the most craziest thing you could possibly think of. Boom! Boom, 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 all over the place, right? Now, even though we've just smashed on all those bits of white, what have we left in between? What have we left in between all those things, right? There must be something in between all the white. Otherwise, it would just be all pure white, right? There wouldn't be any differences. So what have we left amidst all of those bits of white splashies, right? I've said it before, say it again. You guys probably know it. You've probably said it before already, so just tell me one time again, guys. That's it over on YouTube. Nakaya Dark Separators. 100% correct, right? Otherwise, it would all be the same amount of white and we'd have no depth or detail. Now, we come in for the second and final time, and this time we're going to do it even less than we did before. Sometimes I'm trying to do it so lightly that I'm not even touching it in some parts. Didn't hit every space. That way it looks a little different than it did the last time. And we can come on for my favorite bit towards the end, right? We'll spray some stuff down. It's gonna get all crazy. Now, we need a fan brush and a little of our yellow ochre color. This yellow ochre color mixed in with that brown that's already on the canvas just makes the most insanely, preciously gorgeous sunset you've ever seen. So, with the yellow ochre, we're pulling down. Remember, it's got the dark brown underneath. It has all the stuff there for us to do, all of our undercolors. Right? This is just a little top color that we're adding. You can see we did it about 75 times, right? Doesn't that look like sand? Guys, you can be honest with me. I've got like 1.5 million followers. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. You can totes be honest and tell me, does it look like sand or no? I don't think so. So in my opinion, I would be seeing a lot of no answers, right? I'm just thinking, in my own opinion, it doesn't look like sand to me as of right now. But I'm telling you, we got to do 3 things. Okay, we have to pull down. Look at this. Pull down. We have to bow down to the canvas. We've got to pull one side, and then we've got to pull the other side, right? But I'm going to ask you guys which way and how to do it. So I've given you the answers, all right? I've given you the answers to the quiz. Now, when we pull down, like I said, for our number 1 step, we're going to pull down. Do we use a very, very, very light bit of pressure? Or do we just use an insanely, like, jackhammer amount of pressure? Just an insane, boom amount of pressure. What do you think? Hard pressure or light pressure? Hard pressure, light pressure. What are we thinking, my guys and gals and painting pals? Because you guys know the answers. Hulk press hard, an insane amount. Oh, we got a couple lights. All right, here we go. I'm going to show you guys, just the people that said light pressure. Let's go over it with some light pressure. All right, we go like this. Over here, over there. We're going to swipe it. We're going to swipe it. Now, everyone who said light pressure, would you leave your sand looking just like that and move on to the next step? Or should we try hard pressure? What do you guys think about that? Should we do as a hard pressure, or should we leave it just the way it is? Oh, see, everyone says hard, right? So we'll come in here, push down on the brush, really bend it, push it down. Again, do it like 50 times, right? Bing, boom, 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 boom. Again, now this has become our undercolor. That yellow mixed with the brown, and then we can go back and brighten it up however which way we please. Now, doesn't that look a lot more like sand? And again, you can be honest. You can tell me no. I'm not going to get mad. If you say, Josh, not really, my friend. It just doesn't, I just don't see it. Nakaya says it's getting better. Julie says no. TMH says no. Lily says not yet. Progress. We've seen progress. Okay. All right, so I've told you we had to do 3 things. We've only done 1. We pulled it down. Now, do we pull it away from the wave first and then push it in? Or do we push it towards the wave first and then sneak it away? That's the next question on the final exam. my guys and gals and painting pals. I like the shape of this wave. Woo! Woo! I like the sun, too. We got a lot of aways. The Aries trying to get fired, saying zigzags. To the waves, away. Looks too reflective. Oh, you just wait. OJ Fierce, you just wait. I didn't study for this exam. Well, that's a good thing that most people in the comments did. And as you can see, they're all saying to pull away. So we turn all those vertical streaks into horizontal streaks. Bang, and we slide that sand. Now you can't tell me that it doesn't look like sand, except for one little thing, right? This little gap in here is much too large. So what we do, after we pulled down, and we pulled it away, now we're gonna push it towards, and we're gonna take the paint that's already on the canvas itself, not adding anything extra, and pushing it up to that bit of color, but not gonna allow them to touch. Oh, goodness me. Goodness gracious me. You don't want to allow that bit of color to touch, right? You have to have that dark line. Look at that. Look at that. Doesn't it just sit the water, just sits it right up. And it's like, hey, everybody, we're here. And we're ready to have a sand sunset party. Don't you think? Let's come out here like this. A little bit of our liquid white, just right underneath that dark line. Doesn't have to be the same amount, right? A little bit of messiness, just right underneath there. Now we're going to come back. And let me ask you this, since the last time that we pulled down, we went down with insane hard pressure, right? What about this time? Do we use a light amount or do we use a heavy amount again? Campfire perfection. Wendy says light, Jennifer says light, Kat says light, Victoria says lighter, Elaine says light, Morgan says light, Alex says light. Man, it seems like you guys must watch my show. Okay, we're going to come over here. We're going to go very light. Just as soft as we can be. Right? Not trying to get it to blend all the way away. Out there, out there, out there. So now, we get it down, right? We go side, away from the canvas again. Away from the wave, excuse me. Away from the wave again. And then back up towards it. That little bit of brightness right underneath your wave. Oh, just fabulous. Just fabutastic. Have you ever seen anything so gorgeous? Let's come out here with this guy and start rocking in a whole little thingy. Boom, 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 right? Wipe our brush off. Come back in, start dragging this dude back towards his other bit. Like that, like that. Right? We get to decide what it looks like, my guys and gals, painting pals. We get to decide. Nobody else then gonna come in and tell us that it should be this way or it shouldn't be that way, right? Nobody. And if they do, you send them to old Uncle Paint with Josh, and I'll set them straight for you. Tell them to go get effed. Let's come over here. We're gonna do one more thing like that since I liked it so much. It's a little bit of liquid white, a little bit of our titanium white, and let's get one more guy way out here. All right, just dropping in a line of paint is all we're doing. Then we're gonna come around, pull this guy backwards towards his little bit of watery friend, but not allow him to touch. All right, if we allow it to touch, that's bad news bears. Just like that. Oh, man alive. Fabulous. Just fabulous, my guys and gals and paint pals. Oh, it's just lovely. Just lovely. Now here, little teeny tiny strokes down. Remember, I'm trying to keep a dark spot, especially down here, furthest away from the sun. It's gonna be nice and dark down there, right? Always gotta be nice and dark down there. In my opinion, anyway. Now, you guys are gonna have to start coming up with a name for this painting. Remember, if you purchase it, and it is available for sale, if you purchase it, you get to come up with the name. And you get to decide what it's gonna be called. We're gonna come up here and just brighten up a couple little bits of our foamy action that's climbing up the wave. The best part about the Paint with Josh waves, it never has to all look the same, right? It's never gonna all be the same anyway, so it doesn't have to climb up the wave the same. And have a couple little things, little bits of stuffy stuffs, right? We get to decide how bright, how everything is gonna look as it comes down, it hits down. Now, here's my most favoriteest part of the whole thingamajig. No, you know what? Let's throw in just a massive rock. Like this thing's crashing down. We got the extra plaque, right? So we'll grab up our plaque color, come in here, and what if we had just an enormous old rocky thing that's gonna be sat down here in our foreground, right? All you gotta do is pop it in there and then decide how big it's gonna be, what it's gonna look like, how's it gonna be all jaggedy and stuff, all up to us, right? Come in there, start taking it out, maybe even slide it out over this way, around the edge. I like those little watery bits. We're gonna try to keep those guys right there. All right, pull them off to the side, boom, 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 boom. Drag them out a little bit more, around the edge over here. We'll have a real dark little shadow underneath him, right? Again, we get to decide what it looks like, how the water's reacting or acting and reacting. And we have our little bit of our reflection. Bang, now we're gonna come in with our brown and our white and a bit of our black, I'm gonna imagine. All right, a little touch of white with our dark sienna brown color and a bit of that yellow ochre. If you guys know me, you know I love putting the yellow ochre highlights in with the brown. And say we came off of this guy and we start dropping down little things, right? Little bits of brightness here. And we got some darker stuff that's going on in the back. Boom, 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 boom. Just a whole other little mountain that's happening back there. Hey, the more that you mess with it, the darker it's gonna get as it mixes with those colors. All right, now we can play with our side that's gonna catch all the light. Down and down and down, you guys. Look at that thing. Just excellente. All right, come up here. I'm gonna catch some more light off the frontals of him. So throwing it down, 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 down. We get to decide, my guys and gals, what it looks like by the time that we get down there. It's all up to us, right? A little bit of bird turd happening on this guy right here. Let's go over it until it's darkens itself down. Right? A little bit of our dark brown color just to have a deeper, darker shadow that's coming off of the back. And again, it can be mixed in with that plaque color because it's never all going to be the same, right? Never, 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 never. And then we're going to come back around with our palette knife and a little bit of our liquid white. Come around this guy, seal him in with some water. Just like that. Up here, connect it to that little dude again, around the edge, boom, boom, boom. Couple little details here and there and everywhere. Over and around. Oh, I like it. I like it. This one is nice. Slide back my little bits, just like we had them before. Dang, leaving those little places, the little openings. I don't like it all to look exactly the same, right? So I'm gonna make this guy a little bit longer in some places, a little shorter in other places. And now you got your bit of water that's streaking back towards the ocean, leaving those little bits of dark in between. I'm telling you, you gotta have that dark in there. Otherwise it just ain't gonna work. My guys and gals, painting pals. This guy, pull it down a little bit, swipe it over and back. Boom! I like that one. You guys, guys, you know what? Do you know the Muffin Man? Do you know? So, that brush up there that's sitting on the top, that is included as a memento, a keepsake of this Paint with Josh painting. It's one that I've used many times to create many, many, many scenes. Many, many, many. Over here. Boom, 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 boom. Damn, that's cool. All right, it's been a minute, and nobody's bought this one, so it's getting a palm tree. It's going in right here, whether I like it or not. Go there, right there. Right off the back, and we're gonna put a little fat little bush right at the base of that little palm tree guy right here. Let's say we had our center, and then we're gonna go out, right, and give it a little flick, and the little flicks get lighter and lighter and lighter. smaller and smaller and smaller little flicks as we get in towards the center. This guy, a little flickaroo off the back. That one. Now, they don't all have to be perfect, but you want it out there as a little shadow facts. There we go. Never add too many, like putting on too many of them. It just makes them look a little funkier, right? If you have too many on there, it just makes it look weird. Now, we're gonna go back and highlight these guys. Awesome. Little things. I like to kind of make it a little messy at the top. Like you got that little bit of stuff. A lot of times they'll pop out seedlings up there. They'll go all sorts of crazy. Now, since we didn't get any brown out, why don't we use our blue and our yellow? Let's see if we can't mix up our own little green color right over here. Like we learned in school, blue and yellow make a green, right? So, just like that, I'm gonna get a little of my liquid white and attach that and mush it all into this pile so it becomes very thin. Very thin is the key. And then I'm gonna come up and grab a little bit of that with my fan brush. Try not to cover up all of my plaque color, right? That's not the goal. The goal is to have the green out there, but to also have that shadowy mix as well. Just sort of lying underneath it in weight, right? Lying in wait underneath. There's little indications that there was some green on there. And a lot of times, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it all in one go, but that right there, right? Don't need to have too many. Don't need to have too many. Now, I like him. I like him. All right, we're gonna come over here with a little bit of brown and add up our little beachy sandy color. Gonna come off the frontals of this guy. Just a little bit of brown happening around his trunk. Just to have, but remember you gotta have that dark side as well. Don't have too much, and don't get your browns too close to the brown of your rock. It's not gonna look like you want it to, trust me. There we go. A little bit, bang, a little bit of brown. Got his black backside, makes him look much more 3D when you have that darker backside to it. Right? So you can pull it back, you can go over, but make sure one side is bright, one side is dark, and then, for me, I like putting little rings in my palm trees, because the ones where I come from anyway, where I used to come from, they had little rings around them. Like little growth rings. Very cool. So you might not be able to see them until you're right up on close against it, but that, for the most part, is a dunzo little guy. And now we're gonna get our little bushy brush, make up one more bit of our plaque mix that's over here, just one little touch. Grab him up, a little bit of our blue, black, and crimson, just enough to make a bush. That's all we gotta do. Make a little bush. It's gonna sit right down at the bottom of that guy. And in order to do that, we're gonna grab our bushy brush, right? Load up all that dark paint that's in there, and then blast it. On such a long canvas, you're gonna have to hold it over here. Blast it in, so we've got a little bit of mushy bushiness out here in our sand. Grab the base of this guy, slide him out, right? Working it in, not allowing things to get too crazy. Just like that, right? And you got a bit of water, you got a bit of land, you got a bit of sand. Sand and sand and sand and sand and sand and sand and good night. Alright. Alrighty. Over here, over there. Boom, 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 boom. My guys, my gals, my palm tree pals. What do you think? What do you think? Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I like this one. I'm going to call it all done, guys. So we're going to wash up our brushes and see what we can't get up to. Over here, over there. Get this guy all cleaned up. Now, you guys got to start coming up with a name for the painting. All right, normally if it sells, then the buyer gets to name it. And if it doesn't sell, then old Paint with Josh gets to name the painting. And I need your guys' help in coming up with all those names because I've named way too many paintings before, right? So, what would you guys name this painting? Tell me in the comments right now. And we got to come back with the last little bit of our liquid white splashies on our wave, right? I'm going to take that remaining liquid white, get it up on our brush, put it way out here on the end, and then we're going to come off of it and throw the most just boom, 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 all these little bits of paint. They're going to come flinging off and hit just like the water, flying, splashing. It's all over everywhere. Pow! Just everywhere. Everywhere you can get it. All right? That's where you want your splashing water to be. So, sometimes it takes a little bit more liquid white to get your intended look that you want, right? But the more times that you fling out this water, the more your eyes will have to look through all these little spray bits until we get to the brushed out part at the end, right? So just hitting, splashing, going crazy. It's everywhere. It's all over. My goodness. Now, let's get these brushes all cleaned up. Give me a name, guys. You gotta have a name for me by now, I would imagine. And if you don't, then you're just slacking. What are you doing? Give me a name already. What are we gonna name this guy? And then we'll get the cameras all turned off and finish the week. That'll be fantastic. Over here, over there. Here and there and everywhere. This. All right. That, got this. See what else we can get dirty. All right. Only got one more brush, guys. So hit me with those titles. And like I said, if you purchase this painting, you get to pick the title. So if you've got the best one and you just know it in your head, well, you got to pull out the old checkbook and get this one for you. Otherwise, I know you might just choose your name. You don't know. If you really want to secure it in, you know what to do to make that happen. Now, let's get out here. Throw in the old bird family, choose a name, and then we'll be all set. Be all set, Freddies. Ready, Freddies? I'm ready. I'm ready. So I planned on coming back and doing a nighttime scene on TikTok later. Maybe sort of similar to this, but with a nighttime oceany scene. Just flying through the night. You know what? Let's put it over here. And it's got to be in white because I can't see it over there. There we go. Over here, over there. Like this. Okay, guys, that one was fantastic. I love it. I hope you guys love it. I hope to see your versions of it. You can send them in to facebook.com/official Paint with Josh. Gotta send them in over there so I can see what you guys are up to, how you're progressing, and all this stuff. And if you have any questions, or you're like, oh, I just can't figure this part out, send me a photo of it and ask your question. It's a lot easier if you have a picture to look at, right? So, let's see. Alex, you bought this one? Get out of town. Get out of here. No way, that's freaking rad. Dude, that wave, that sun in the background, boy, oh boy. Just excellent, if you ask me. Just excellent. So, let's see. I am going to do another one, OJ Fierce. It's the same size canvas, right? But this one's going to be all black, so it's going to be like a nighttime version of this tropically kind of scene. Maybe we'll do some, maybe it'll have all sorts of crazy colors. No one knows what it's going to have. But we'll figure it out by the time that we get there, right? Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in and checking out the show. I'll hang out with you guys over here on TikTok for a minute, but I want to end the YouTube stream because it's over an hour, and I like to keep the videos at right about an hour. So everybody watching over on Facebook and on YouTube, I love you guys. I can't wait to see your versions of this painting. Please send them in, facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day, and bah, bah. Just boom. After that.